Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. So today I wanted to talk again about making squelches, and this time I want to show what I've been doing lately to create some nice squelches with Bitwig Studio and some plugins. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive into this. So I'm going to create a new project inside Bitwig, and so a number of years ago, I saw a tutorial that was made by Bunting. So shout out Bunting, and I'm sure many of you may already know this, but he did a tutorial on how to sound like Tipper and stuff like that. And so it's basically you do, well, I mean, just like squelches, nobody can obviously sound exactly like a different artist or whatever, especially Tipper. But we can do, of course, a saw wave with a high pass filter, and basically everybody knows that already. But we're gonna go a little bit deeper than that, and kind of I want to show what I've been doing, and maybe other people can comment and tell me what plugins they've been using if they want to talk about it, and we can just, get some ideas, because I'm always looking for that. So I'm assigning a LFO to the pitch here, and also maybe to the filter cutoff as well. And then if we want, we could probably also do modulation on the blend of this. So I'll set here a new LFO and assign it to the blend parameter of the filter. So this is LFO 3, and we're going to assign that here. So for this, you would get this sound. And this is decent. We could add also another filter and kind of start getting things like this. Right, so that's kind of nice, but what I've been doing is I've been using the new Morph EQ plugin, which I think it came out this year. It's by Minimal Audio, if you guys aren't already familiar with this. And I was kind of inspired after watching a video from Dash Glitch, where he's talking about how you can make these like plasticky filter sounds with Morph EQ. And you can just like do stuff like that, for example. And then of course in Morph EQ you have these 5 different macros, and if you hover over them, it should give an explanation of what each one does. So shift adjusts the frequency of the entire EQ curve at once, so this can be used like a filters cutoff to create huge filter sweeps. So yeah, all of these are really nice and useful, but one thing about it is it doesn't come with a LFO or anything to modulate with, but that's not really a problem, because we can, of course, in Bitwig Studio set up remote controls for the parameters. So I'll just assign each of these to a different parameter. And then what I've been doing is you can, if you can't already tell, this is Bitwig Studio 5. So in Bitwig Studio 5, they've added a number of things like project modulators, for example, which we're not going to talk about in this video, but I can talk about that in, of course, a new video. But we're going to click add a modulator, and then under the LFOs, I'll choose a curves modulator. So if you don't already know curves, or if you haven't used Bitwig Studio 5, you will see that one of the new features they've added is MSEGs, which is a multi-segment envelope generator. And part of that, one of the new things at least, is the curves modulator. And with the curves modulator, you get an editor where you can choose between these different shapes to create curves, and this is just the default shape. But if I click here, it's going to open up a library, and this curves modulators uses the new Bitwig curve file format, which is only going to work with these. So you can't import WAV files or anything like that. But if you do want to import WAV files, they also have a wavetable LFO, which that you can import WAV files into, and it's the same concept as the LFO tables in FacePlant, if you're familiar with that. But just so you know, if you don't have FacePlant and maybe you don't want to spend the money, you can basically do that just with Bitwig Studio. But anyways, a lot of these Bitwig curve files you may not have in your library. I think by default there's only like 100 or something like that. So I have gotten many of these from Polarity's Patreon, which I highly recommend if you use Bitwig Studio. He's always got some awesome like content to share. And so I'm gonna select here some of these waveforms. So like this, for example, this filter rhythm. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna modulate the pinch parameter and also the shift parameter of these functions. And so now when we play, we'll get right, stuff like that. And so that's one way that you can utilize these to get danker squelches and whatever. And then also I'm going to be using some paid plugins here. So this tutorial is basically using paid plugins, but I'm going to call up Infiltrator 2, which they recently updated, and I haven't really looked at all the new changes and stuff. But with this plugin, if you aren't already familiar with it, it's a multi-effects plugin where in each of these 10 slots can be populated by one of these 54 effects, including some spectral effects, and I haven't even explored all of them because there's so many. But a lot of times I'll just use maybe a phaser, for example. We can add that, and then we can also add maybe a high pass filter and a format filter too. And you can also choose these different things. You even call up a random curve basically to use as automation. So basically these curves are just automations for that effect. And then it also has a sequencer. So if we want, we can go ahead and call up start the sequencer and then create these little sequences. And furthermore, if we want, we can, of course, once again, click show remote controls, and then we can add. So if we assign this macro, we can assign the macro to control the filter's cutoff, the resonance, and even the amount that effect 1 envelope is modified by macro 1. Yeah, modulate that too. And even set this, I think this is new with the new update for 2.3.3 of Infiltrator. So you can set that too. And now let's hear it with all that going on. And then, as I was going to say, we could also, once again, use the remote controls, and we can even map the macros here to get even further modulation and possibilities going on, and then add again a curves modulator, and then go ahead and just modulate that macro As you can see, it's now moving. And we can just choose different things for that. So let's hear this. Right, so anyways, this is just one idea for how to get some interesting results with squelches and whatnot. And I hope this wasn't a bit too deep or whatever, but if you find this video useful, you know what to do, and definitely let me know what plugins and effects and workflow approaches that you do for creating these squelches and stuff of that nature, because I'm always interested in learning more. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.